better explain why we pulled bulls this morning on the heifers. We're going to ultrasound in 30 days. We're going to know for a fact if they're bred or open. By pulling them today, there won't be anything calving in June by their due date. You know, something might go a couple days over or whatever. It's considered late calving if it's June 10th or later. And I think with our pull date, we're at May 29th. Did that explain it well, sir?
Look how long that auger is.
It needs to be. Look how long that head is.
It's all long and such.
I don't know if it's long enough. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, that's why we pulled the bulls. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we feed in the morning. We have what's called a distiller's balancer. It's mineral packed vitamins. This also has rumensin in it. Another ingredient is the Dakota Gold pellets from Poet in Mitchell. It's a protein source to balance this ration for the calves so they're growing at the optimal level without getting too fat. Over here we have our cracked corn, which, depending on the size of the calf and how we want them to look, whether they're going to be replacement heifers and you don't want them as fleshy, or they're getting to be big cattle and you need to start really putting the groceries on them, we adjust how much corn goes in the ration. So that's 3 of the 5 ingredients, but the next ingredient is actually 2 ingredients in one, because when I grind hay, I mix alfalfa and grass hay as we grind it. There's grass hay in there, and there's also alfalfa in here. This is obviously grass here, and then these are the ground up leaves of the alfalfa. And then the last ingredient, on our farm it could be one of 3 things. It could be rye silage, like we cut this spring, and that's what that's looking like. It could be corn silage, which we chopped last fall, which you can see the kernels of corn. Where'd you go? Kernels of corn in it. But it can also be sorghum silage. You can see the head of the sorghum's got some seeds from the sorghum head. Here's a good example. So the nutritionist giving us a ration, and then I'm putting it on this little piece of paper. So each load I can see how much of each ingredient I want to put in for that group of cattle. And there's batch sheets so you can get, but I've always done it this way, and I just like being able to look at a sheet and just have what I need and not a whole page of numbers and picking out the line. So I know a lot of you have kind of wondered before how we go about feeding, and hopefully that explains it a little bit. Here's my blended rye, sorghum, and corn silage here. Just using this corner. Leftovers, so I'll put it back with the other. Also, you know, in the fall we fill that bunker with wet corn. So now this load gets evenly split between the 2 north pens here. So Cole's going to be watching his scale as he unloads it, and he's going about the right speed so he gets feed in the bunks from one end to the other, so everybody can stand up there and eat and not have to fight for a spot.
You know, Tiny, when you run in the mud and then hop on the seat, that makes my pants dirty. Alright. Morning, folks. We got just short of 3 tenths last night. We've had 3 thunderstorms roll through in the last 5 days. They've all given us a little wind and a little rain. That's going to make these beans just survive and keep putting some maybe new pods on and filling. That's pretty awesome. Anywho, with these rains, you know, bugs, flies, gonna be spraying some cattle today a little bit. Start with some feedlots. It's somewhat cool this morning, so we're gonna, I think, grease both of these. Really helpful when there's 2 people, because sometimes you have to turn the PTO shaft to get those knuckles lined up so you can get at the zerks. Case have that on hand, you think? Yeah. So we went to grease this bearing, and I could feel the chain was loose, and we took that cover off, and it was very loose, so we're going to replace that. And then we went back here to check out these chains, and they aren't terrible. Got them lubed. We're going to put the cover back on, pull the other auger up in case we need parts for that, and then go get some new chain. So. That other auger is pretty well greased, ready to go, just needs a new chain. This auger is mostly used for when we dump corn from the semi into the corn cracker and fill the wet corn pits. This is a 10-inch auger. We don't need a bunch of capacity because the corn cracker, you know, it's got to process that. It can't handle a 13-inch auger. So this one only gets run about 20,000, short of 20,000 bushels through it a year. Whereas that other one gets more like 150,000 bushels through it. One of the hardest things to grease is this knuckle right here. You gotta either have it connected to a tractor and then just run the PTO and hope you stop it at the right spot, or have a guy watching and one guy spinning. Oh, let's try that. Okay. The chain on this one was fine. I got it greased up, just got to hit that top bearing way up there. I think I have to crawl on the pickup, top of the pickup to get to this one. One more, Paul.
Yep. A little breeze would be nice. As you can see, that the Dane in me is sweating out.
Oh! That's up their ways. I ain't gonna be able to get that one. Three augers ready to go for harvest. 40 days ahead of time. Since we got our augers done, you know, grease gun in the back, should we stop by a couple neighbors and see if they want theirs done this morning? No. So Dad took off to go get a new chain, but otherwise these things are pretty much ready. I just want to check the tire pressure in those drive wheels and then put a new shear bolt on. Hasn't broke yet, but there's still going to be some wear and some weakness to it. If you remember last year when I was getting some augers ready, I went to check this and it was actually sheared in there somehow. We made it through the last few bushels with a sheared bolt. It just didn't pop out. So I think it's worthwhile checking those, replacing them before you begin. It's just a bolt with a nut. And the whole point of it, if something catches or maybe somehow a big rock goes in and hopefully you break the shear bolt and not the auger or something else that's going to be more expensive. A bunch of extra shear bolts. I hope I don't have to use a single one of those. If you know anything about me, I'm pretty big into the convenience factor of things. You know, I'll spend in the off time an extra hour and a half working on something if it'd save me 10 minutes during the busy time. We got this electric winch on here, and it's pretty hard to use a hand to hold the positive to the positive and a hand to hold the negative to the negative, and then also run this button. Picked up a couple clamps. So then you can just clamp them right to the battery and have your more hands free. So we're going to put those on. Oh yeah. There we go, we got a nice little clamp. That kind of scared me. Air compressor turning on. All those two augers are moved. There's been some weeds and grass growing underneath them. And I believe the skid loader has the brush cutter on yet, so let's do a little mowing before we move them back. Yeah, it's just getting back with the new chain. Then we can get this thing all wrapped up. Winning. Mm-hmm. How much that chain cost?
80 bucks, 78 bucks.
Better than 200 bucks.
Not as good as 10 bucks.
Eat.
They make these cotter pins fuzzier than they used to. Never used to be fuzzy.
Yeah.
Oh, they get fuzz all around.
Shrinkflation, as I call it. Quite a warm, humid day, but we got some nice stuff done. It feels good having those augers greased and ready to go. Another check mark off the list. Sprayed some cattle that had decent fly pressure. They're going to be feeling a lot better now. And it looks like early next week, about 5 days away, we got a cool down coming. Highs in the upper 70s. That will feel good. That'll be really nice. Thanks for watching, folks. We'd love to see you next time. Have a good one. Won't stop. Leave me alone. Leave me alone.